Welcome. My name is Doug Laston. I am the founder and executive director of the Urban Justice Center, and it's delightful to see so many of our friends here. Thank you for coming out and celebrating the opening of our new office. It's a great day for the Urban Justice Center, for our clients, and for the city of New York. And so we're thrilled to have you. Before I introduce Senator Booker, I would like to thank, actually the first people I would like to thank are our architects, really who, I don't know if Dag Folger is somewhere here, there's Dag and is Kate, oh there's Kate, Dag and Kate are both here, Kate Thatcher, Dag Folger from A+I. They went way above and beyond what architects do. They guided us from before we bought the place, right through the process, because frankly, I didn't know what I was doing. And it was to have people I could trust, and with, this is their vision. We had Dag came to me and said, I'm glad to do this, Doug, if you're open to being creative. Always in the service of your needs. And I said, that's who we are. And so we had a partnership that we were committed to creativity and openness and open discussion. And so as you walk around, you will see this is their vision. And let me just point out, actually, I don't know if you can, I forgot to hold the mic. Let me give you an idea of what I mean when I say creative. Right where Dag is standing, right over there, there is a wall that slides out up to about here, and I don't know if you can see there are glass panels right here, and these glass panels slide around this, and this is normally a conference room, and then on the other side of that wall there is an eating social space, and then it all triples as this is our large presentation space, which groups need, but you know, we might need it once a month, twice a month, but you don't want to waste your space. So, and it all of course takes full advantage of the Hudson River, the high ceilings, the light, the air. You'll see the offices, airy and light. And this is Dag and Kate's vision, and I just want to thank them. And I also want to say that this stunning space was created on a budget, and if you know me, a strict budget, and we came in on budget. And so, when I founded the Urban Justice Center in 1984, I was a single lawyer in a burned out building in Harlem. Now we have a staff of over 120 people. We have offices and we do work and have offices in all the boroughs. And now we have our new home is the centerpiece of our work, where the Street Vendor Project can have their monthly membership meetings, where the Domestic Violence Project can have financial literacy training, or where the Safety Net Project can walk down the hall and confer with their colleagues at the Mental Health Project, and where we will be coordinating our work for last year for 20,000 clients around the city. And this may surprise you, and this is important to know, that this financial project, this is a financial project in many ways, and we are saving over $800,000 a year in space costs because we did this. And really, in large part, because we have some of our friends from the City Council here, and I'm going to introduce them in a little while, but they gave us we got a $5 million capital grant from them. And, and the ones who are most responsible for that are here, so I will thank them individually. We have there are a few former UJC staffers who have came back to help us today. Chris Mead is over there. Chris Mead is everybody knows what Chris Reed, but for those who don't know, Chris is now General Counsel to the U.S. Secretary of Treasury. Ben Weisner's over there in the back. Ben is at the ACLU as Director of their Speech, Privacy and Technology Project, and notably counsel to Edward Snowden. Thanks to Ben for coming over. And where is Becca Heller? Becca Heller's here. Becca actually is a current staff. She
Fired.
This is the relationship we have. Becca, in addition to starting and running the Iraqi Refugee Project here, Becca is on the faculty of the Yale Law School, a position she took the year she graduated from the Yale Law School, so I'm glad she came today. And that gives me a chance to let you know we're very proud that over 20 staffers from the UJC have left here to go teach at law school, and we're very proud of that pipeline. And in fact, we're proud of all of our staff, many of whom are here today, and they are really the heart and soul of the agency, and they are responsible for our great reputation. So I don't know if anybody's staff, just raise your hand quickly. They're here, and thank you. I also see a number of our board members have come out to support us. They are our backbone that keeps us upright and moving forward, and they, of course, were critical in helping us along in completing this project. I would like to actually, I see so many friends, and I would like to go over each person, but I have a terrible memory. People I know very well, I'm going to forget their names. So I just want to say we have a lot of friends here, supporters, partners, some of the general counsels we work with are here, and I want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you. And now I get to introduce United States Senator Cory Booker.
All right.
I know Cory, if I may, from the time, personally, from the time he worked here, but it wasn't only the time he worked here. The summer before he graduated from law school, I remember Peter Cicchino, a good friend who started our youth project representing LGBT youth, came up to me and said, you know, I spoke to Cory, who was, had just finished his second year of law school, and he doesn't have any place to stay this summer. And of course I said to Peter, so? And Peter said, Doug, you have an extra room in your apartment. And for anybody who knew Peter, he really was impossible to say no to. So the next thing I knew, I had this law student living with me for the summer. And what fun we had. Really. And I can verify it for you that the senator is good with a budget, because we must have had rice, beans, and broccoli at least 3 or 4 nights a week. But then I had the privilege of working with Cory at the UJC, where he was a whirlwind of activism in Newark. He spent most of his time representing kids and tenants, and actually personally moved into one of the more forbidding housing projects so he could learn firsthand what it was like to live there on a daily basis. Inevitably, a group of community organizers came to Cory and urged him to run for the city council. They needed him, and they needed him now. When Cory came to me and wondered about leaving the UJC, I thought the answer was clear. As valuable as he was as an attorney and organizer, and as much as I delighted in his daily presence in the office, I knew it'd be selfish to limit Cory to the work of the UJC. And it wasn't just his piercing intelligence, his sense of social justice, his energy, and his big heart. But I'd never met anybody who could inspire a crowd the way Cory could. And that was just something that needed to be shared with a bigger audience. And so I'm proud to introduce the senator from New Jersey, the rare politician who uses love as a guiding principle,
Yes.
excuse me, Cory Booker.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Amen and hallelujah. And I'm a politician now, so pass the collection plate. Look, I get chills whenever I come visit UJC, and I've done a few events over the last few years with Doug, and every time he calls me, he says, "This is the last time," and I'm like, "Please, don't make it the last time," because the truth of the matter is I owe so much to this community. I literally would not be standing here today if it wasn't for my start at the UJC, and especially that moment where Doug basically pushed me off of the branch and told me to go out there and fly. And but to be specific, a couple things. First of all, how many people here have ever lived with Doug Glasson? It was an experience to live with him. Indeed, we did cook beans and broccoli and rice just about every single night. He was remarkable at that summer in his kindness to me and giving me shelter as I worked up in East Harlem during a summer where there was all of these police sweeps going on, and so many of our young people were getting churned into the criminal justice system. And I was working at a street law project trying to educate kids about the law and help kids that were getting caught up. And it was one of these strange summers where I'd be up in East Harlem and I'd be walking across Central Park to CPW where Doug lived, and would get a chance to sit with a guy who in many ways was who I wanted to be. He was a nonprofit leader doing incredible work. And it was my experiences during that summer that in many ways shaped the passion and the work that I'm doing right now. In the Senate right now, one of my biggest thrusts and efforts is to take a legal system and try to make it a justice system again. We have an America right now that has so much to be proud of, but yet when it comes to aspects of our legal system, they really should weigh on us with a bit of shame, especially that we're singular in humanity for how many people we lock up unnecessarily. People with mental health issues, people with drug addictions. And what Doug and my experiences with him showed me is there's a wonderful saying of Archimedes said, "Give me the right lever and I can change the world." That if we work together to find those leverage points, we can make a big, big difference. But let me just go a little deeper. I grew up, as my father would joke, in this very middle-class, affluent, all-white town. In fact, we were the first black family to move in. We fought a court case to move into the town and become, as my father told us, four raisins in a tub of vanilla ice cream. And, but understanding that it took a court case and an intervention to move us into that town was a part of my understanding of how when people come together, this was activists in the Fair Housing Council and others, when people come together, they can get great things done. It was a part of my family narrative that these acts of love, often through the legal system, or people trying to bring fairness and justice into our legal system, that great things could happen. And I grew up in this town of relative privilege where my mom and dad would always say things to me to help jar me into understanding what the obligations were. My father would say things as I walked around a nice house. My father would say, "Don't you dare walk around this house like you hit a triple. You were born on third base. You have obligations." And would help me to understand a reality, as my father would say to me all throughout my career until he passed away back in 2013, that this world demands something of you, and that you are the physical manifestation, as we all are, of this conspiracy of love, that you're here because of the acts of commitment, courage, justice, kindness, love of so many people. My father was born to a single mom, born very poor. He would joke he couldn't afford to be poor. He was just P.O., couldn't afford to be but he would remarkably tell me stories that he would have headed in a much different direction in his life if it wasn't for those small acts of kindness. Think about this. I firmly believe that no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. That indeed those acts of kindness often are those little shifts in people's lives that improve them and bring them on another direction. My acts of kindness that I've experienced from a guy who was an innovator in the social space just put me up for a summer. My father, small acts of kindness of a family that took him in when his mama couldn't take care of him anymore. The small acts of kindness for my father when he couldn't afford college, but people put money in a church collection plate. the act of kindness that some couple did, a white couple that decided to pose as my parents. When they were told the house wasn't available for them, they left. This volunteer couple went to that house and found out that indeed it was still for sale. I could go on and on and on about all those things, but to me, it's actually an issue, as one of my friends puts it, of physics, astrophysics. When he says, Corey, when you stand at night and you look up at the stars, they're millions of light years away. Some of them might have gone out millions of years ago, but they look as if they're there because the energy and the light that you put off, that a body puts off during its lifetime, goes on into infinity. And so I stand here knowing that I may be a United States Senator, but all that I am is really the collective manifestation of this light and this energy and this kindness. We have a lot of work to do. I tell you that. We have a lot of work to do. But to me, it's places like the Urban Justice Center that are supernovas when it comes to the light and energy this place puts off. I started my career in Newark, New Jersey. My professional anchor was the Urban Justice Center that gave me a chance to start organizing as a tenant organizer, representing folks against some pretty challenging slumlords at that time. And when we were organizing, I would be running back and forth across this river. And I just want you to know, this is the best new office I've seen in a long time because of its great view of New Jersey. And I would be coming back to the Urban Justice Center, sitting with my fellow workers, talking and strategizing about how do we take on these challenges. Because we know then, and I know now, that this country will never live up to its truth until it recognizes the value, the worth, and the dignity of every one of its citizens. And we have this, calling to do just that. So I want to just conclude really by saying a few things. One, for all of us here that have the capacity to help the Urban Justice Center, whether it's fellow elected leaders, city council people, myself, or philanthropists that are here, or volunteers that are here. This is a righteous organization, and I hope that we can continue to empower it to be successful. There are young people working with it right now that may not stay forever. I think one just got fired. But we will go on and not only, we'll take our experiences here and go on into the world and continue the themes and the values and the ideals of this place. Number two, I just really want to urge everybody to continue the cause of justice, not just professionally, but personally. We have a country that has lived up to such heights of expectation, but yet still has not, in my opinion, fully told its truth yet. I go back to the United States Senate, and I stood on the floor last week and just talked about the ugly truth of a nation that would, in many cities like the city of Newark or Camden, see so many of its young children, young kids, get ground into the criminal justice system. And then even when they're out, they still continue to pay a penalty or a price for that incarceration, whether it's because they were put in solitary confinement, which other countries consider torture, or whether it is just that they can't get jobs or find a hard time being employed because they have a felony conviction for being involved with drugs in a level that, frankly, the last 3 presidents admitted to being involved with. There are so many areas I can go on that we have to work on, and my ambition is to impart to you the last thing is just that let's not yield at all in this work. Let's not in any way hesitate or equivocate to demand that our country live up to its truth. Let's understand that we must do the hard work and be revolutionary in the same way that generations have been revolutionary in our ideals. There's a wonderful quote, and I'll just end with this. It's why I respect this organization so much, and why the memory of people like Peter Cicchino, who you mentioned, so live in my heart. And Peter, if I can, and I just mention, my conversations with him so affected me when I became mayor to demand my city live up to the dignity, the love, and the worth of our children who are gay, bisexual, transgender, and suffering as they do nationally, such abuse such a hardship and such unacceptable challenges. There's a wonderful quote that the people of the Urban Justice Center make me think about all the time, in a book called In Search of My Mother's Garden by Alice Walker. And I don't have it fully memorized, but it goes something like this. The true revolutionary is always concerned with the least glamorous of things. The raising a child's reading level from 3rd to 4th. The helping people fill out food stamp forms because folks have got to eat, revolution or not. The true revolutionary is always close to the people to be there when they need them. And that's what this place to me is so much about. It is that true American revolutionary spirit, this understanding that we have a declaration of independence, but the spiritual truth of America is a declaration of interdependence, that we need each other. And these bonds and these links between all Americans, between all of humanity, have to be honored. And if they are severed or if they are undermined, then we all suffer as a result of it. As King so eloquently said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Well, I'm so proud that the Urban Justice Center continues, now in great office space with a phenomenal view of Jersey. I'm so proud and honored that this place is working so hard and doing so much to bring justice everywhere. Thank you.